Hi guys, let's see the review of Essential of Medical Physiology, the 6th edition. Let's go through inside. The author of this textbook is K. Subbalingam and Prema Subbalingam, and publishers is JB Brothers Medical Publishers. First, we are going to see about the contents. The first section is general physiology. The next section is blood and body fluids. The third one is muscle physiology. Fourth one, digestive system. The fifth one is renal physiology and skin. The sixth one is endocrinology. The seventh one is reproductive system. And the eighth one is CVS, cardiovascular system. And the ninth one is respiratory system and environmental physiology. 10th one is nervous system. And the last one is special senses. First of all, we are going to see about the first section, that is the general physiology. Here first the cell, main, the introduction, structure, the diagram is given. The structure of the cell is given here. Then the main function of cytoplasmic organelles. Then about the nucleus structure. Then about the structure of the DNA. Then about the cell death, apoptosis. Here necrosis. Then about the next chapter, cell junction. Next about the passive transport and active transport. Here the diagram of like sodium, potassium transport pumps. The next one is hemostasis. The main definition, flowchart, negative feedback mechanism is given. Then about acid-base balance. Then the next section is blood and body fluids. The main body fluids, blood, plasma proteins, red blood cells, erythropoiesis, hemoglobin and iron metabolism, RPS or erythrocyte sedimentation rate, anemia, the main one, WBC, immunity, platelets. Go inside. First, the body fluid, the main introduction, significance, compartment, composition, measurement, concentration, maintenance of water balance, applied physiology. The next one is blood, the main composition of plasma is given here. Then about the plasma proteins. Next about RBC, red blood cells. The main normal value, normal shape, size, structure, the properties of RBC. Then about erythropoiesis, the main definition, stages like megaloblastic stage, hepatic stage, myeloid stage. The main stages of erythropoiesis. Then about hemoglobin and iron metabolism, ESR. Then about WBC. The main different types of WBC like neutrophils, eosinophils, basophil, monocyte, lymphocyte. Then about the immunity like active immunity and passive immunity. Then about the platelets, the main structure, shape, composition is given. And the main platelet under electron microscope. Then about homeostasis. Then about the coagulation of blood. The main stages of blood coagulation is given here. Then about the blood groups. The main RH factor AB and O antigen. Then the RH factor composition of mismatched blood transfusion. Then about the blood transfusion. Then about the blood volume. The next one is spleen. The structure of the spleen, red pulp, white pulp. Then about the lymphatic system and lymph. These are the composition of lymph. Then about the tissue fluid and edema. Then the next section is muscle physiology. Classification of muscle, structure of skeletal muscle, properties of skeletal muscle. Changes during muscular contraction, neuromuscular junction, smooth muscle, electromyogram and disorders of skeletal muscle, endurance of muscle. First, the classification of muscles. Then about the structure of the skeletal muscle, like structure of the skeletal muscle diagram. Then here the sarcomere. Then about the diagram showing sarcotubular system and the parts of the sarcomere. Then parts of actin filament. Then about the properties of skeletal muscle. Here the excitability curve from duration curve is given. Then about some work done by the muscle, the formula, how to calculate the work done. Then about changes during muscular contraction, like repolarization, depolarization, all these things will come under this chapter. Then about smooth muscles, the next chapter, like distribution, function, structure, types. Next one is electromyogram and disorders of skeletal muscles. Then about the last one is endurance of muscle. The next section is digestive system. The main digestive system, the introduction of digestive system, mouth and salivary glands, stomach, pancreas, liver and gallbladder, small intestine, large intestine, movements of GIT hormones, digestion, absorption and metabolism of carbohydrates, digestion, absorption and metabolism of proteins, and next one is digestion, absorption and metabolism of lipids. The first one, introduction to digestive system, functional anatomy. The main anatomy of this digestive system is given. The nerve supply of GIT tract, like intrinsic nerve supply and extrinsic nerve supply. Here the GIT tract is totally given. Then about the structure of intestinal wall with intrinsic nerve plexus. Then this is the nerve supply of GIT of extrinsic nerve. Then about the mouth and salivary glands. Then here the major salivary gland is given. Then about parasympathetic nerve system of two maxillary and sublingual glands. Then about the stomach, the main parts of the stomach. And then next about the pancreas, the functional anatomy and the nerve supply of pancreas. Then here the liver and the gallbladder, the main function of liver and biliary system, the blood supply to the liver, then secretion of bile, storage of bile, all those things. Here the posterior surface of the liver, then how this two hepatic plates with sinusoidal in between those things is given here. Then biliary system. Then about formation and circulation of bile pigments. Then about the large intestine. The same thing, like first the anatomy, the function. Then the movements of gastrointestinal tract, such as constipation. Then GIT hormones, the main introduction, description of gastrointestinal hormones such as gastrin, secretin, cholecystokinin, all those things. Here, cholecystokinin, gastrin. Then about digestion, absorption and metabolism of carbohydrate like polysaccharides, disaccharides, monosaccharides. Next about the proteins. Here the proteins in diet. What are the things? Digestion of proteins in mouth. Then about the lipids like saturated fats, unsaturated fats, like in unsaturated, monosaturated, polysaturated and trans fats. The next section is renal physiology. The kidney, the first is renal physiology and skin. First kidney, nephron, the extraglomerular apparatus, renal circulation, urine formation, concentration of urine, acidification of urine and role of kidney in acid-base balance, renal function test, renal failure, micturition, dialysis and artificial kidney, diuretics, structure of skin, functions of skin, glands of skin, body temperature. Here the first, the functions of kidney, role in homeostasis, all those things. Here the urinary system is given. Here the longitudinal section of the kidney is given in the diagram. Then about the nephron, the main structure of the nephron is given here. Structural and functional unit of nephron is the structural and functional unit of kidney. Then about types of nephron. Then about here the diagram of renal corpuscles. Then about juxtaglomerular apparatus. Here the renal circulation. Here the schematic diagram showing how the renal blood flow is going through. Then about the urine formation, events of urine formation. Then about concentration of urine. Here the counter current multiplier is given in the diagram of osmolarity, of numerically indicate osmolarity. Then about renal function test and how to measure the renal plasma flow, how to measure the renal measurement of renal plasma flow, and urea clearance test. Then about the renal failure, micturition. Then about the dialysis and artificial kidney. Then about the structure of the skin, the main layers of the skin, epidermis, stratum corneum, lucidium, granulosum, spinosum, and germination. Here the diagram of the structure of the skin is given, and functions of skin, glands of skin, then about the body temperature, then about the hormones, the main classification of hormones depending upon the chemical nature is given in the table. Then next about the pituitary gland. Here the endocrinology. First one, introduction to endocrinology, that's we saw here. Then hormones, pituitary gland, thyroid gland, parathyroid glands, and physiology of bones, endocrine function of pancreas, adrenal cortex, adrenal medulla, endocrine function of other organs, local hormones. Here the pituitary gland, then the main anterior and posterior pituitary, then about the thyroid gland, then about the parathyroid gland and physiology of bone. Then about the structure of compact bone. Then about here the glucocorticoids, the source of secretion, all these things. The synthesis of cortisol, how it's to improve. Then about the local hormones. The next one is reproductive system. Male reproductive system, seminal vesicles, prostate gland, semen. Female reproductive system, ovary, menstrual cycle, ovulation, menopause, infertility, pregnancy and parturition, placenta, pregnancy test, mammary gland and lactation. Then about the fertility control. First we are going to see about the male reproductive system. Here the male reproductive system diagram is given. Then structure of testis. And next the seminal vesicles. Next one is prostate gland. Next one is semen. Next one is female reproductive system. The main female reproductive system figure is given, and the section of uterus is given here in the figure. Then about the ovary, the main function of ovary, medulla, cortex, all these things. Main function is given. Then about the menstrual cycle, here the graphene follicle diagram is given, and this is the menstrual cycle diagram. Here is the graph of hormone level during menstrual cycle. Next about ovulation, menopause, infertility, pregnancy and parturition. The next section is cardiovascular system, that is CVS, the main cardiac cycle, heart sound, ECG, heart rate, all those things. Here the first we are going to see about section of the heart, and next about the cardiac muscle fibers, then about walls of heart, then about the properties of the cardiac muscle, and next about the cardiac cycle. The main cardiac cycle is given in this chapter, the main definition, photodiastole. intraventricular pressure changes during cardiac cycle. Then the main waves of normal ECG is given, EQRST waves, and their duration, amplitude, clinical significance, all those things are given. Then about the vector, the main next chapter is arrhythmia, the main definition, sinus bradycardia and sinus tachycardia, then heart block. Then here how to calculate the cardiac output is given. Next, the heart rate, the normal heart rate, tachycardia, then the vasomotor, constrictor area, vasodilator area, sensory area. The next one, chapter is hemodynamics. Then about the venous pressure, then about the capillary pressure, then about the chapter is arterial pressure, venous pulse, then coronary circulation, then circulation through skeletal muscle, then about cutaneous circulation. Here the compensated stages of circulatory shock is given. You can use diagram. Chart. Then about cardiovascular adjustment during exercise. Next chapter is respiratory system and environmental physiology. Here the respiratory tract is given in the picture. Then about the respiratory lineage. Then about the pulmonary circulation. Then about the pulmonary function test. The main here is how to calculate the formula, how to calculate the vital capacity, how to calculate the normal value. Then about the ventilation. Then about the exchange of respiratory gases. This is a major picture of partial pressure and content of oxygen and carbon dioxide in blood, alveoli and tissues. Then about transport of respiratory gases. The next one is nervous system. Introduction to nervous system, neuron, classification of nerve fibers, the main neuralgia, receptors, synapses, neurotransmitters, reflex activity, spinal cord, brainstem, thalamus, internal capsule. First the main thing, classification, introduction of nervous system, the main classification is given. Then about the neuron, the types of neuron like unipolar neuron, multipolar neuron, bipolar neuron, and pseudo-unipolar neuron. The structure of the neuron, then about the degeneration and regeneration of nerve fibers. Here the figure is given here. Then about the synapse, then about neurotransmitters, then about reflex activity. In this chapter, the major thing is the pathway is given like ascending pathway, descending pathway. This is a pyramidal graph. This is the pain pathway and analgesic pathway. Then about the brainstem. Then about internal capsule. Then about the cerebellum. Next, about the functions of cerebellum, vestibular cerebellum. The connections of spinal cerebellum. Then about the basal ganglia. Next, about the cerebral cortex. Then about the preparation of animals for experimental studies. Then about electroencephalogram. Then about the physiology of sleep. Then epilepsy, the major definition types. Then about higher intellectual function. Then about CSF, cerebrospinal fluid. Then ANS, autonomic nervous system. Here the major parasympathetic and sympathetic division of autonomic nervous system is given. linear plot diagram. Next, the last one is here the structure of the eye, that is special senses. Structure of eye, visual process, field of vision, visual pathway, pupillary reflex, color vision, structure of ear, auditory pathway, mechanism of hearing, sensation of taste, sensation of smell, the structure of the eye, here the abdomen and visual axis, structure of the eyeball, then wall of the eyeball. It's the visual process, the major structure of the visual receptors, the rods, cones. Then about the field of vision, then about visual pathway, then pupillary reflex, then auditory pathway, the main introduction receptors of auditory pathway, then mechanism of hearing, how these waves of frequency of sound traveling, then about auditory defects, then about sensation of smell or olfactory receptors. Then at last here in each and every chapter the question, both long question and short questions are given. The next about the index for every alphabets. The index is given here. So step we have. At last we have the set. This is the last index page. Thank you guys.